So what does this moment reveal about American officials' public versus private thoughts when it comes to Israel? Joining us now to help pull back that curtain is Eli Lake, national security reporter for the Daily Beast, and MSNBC's Rula Jibril. Thank you, both of you. Eli, what does this say about the gap between private and public thinking for this administration?
Well, this story comes at a really fortuitous time. The New Republic has a really thorough piece that was just published on Sunday night. That's the inside story of the peace process that kind of fell apart under Kerry. And what it showed was the Secretary of State often in this kind of quixotic position of trying to persuade Netanyahu, trying to persuade Abbas to, sort of see the larger picture and to move away from their original positions. And in some cases he had some success, but ultimately it did fall apart. And Kerry was very frank in his conversations with Netanyahu during the peace process. At one point he said, listen, when I was in Vietnam, it helped me to understand the war from the perspective of the people that I was fighting. And Netanyahu, according to this piece, kind of said, listen, this isn't Vietnam, John Kerry. This is Israel, and Israelis know what's best. So in some ways, I think that Kerry's frustration and concern about those casualties is something that's been par for the course. I mean, he's been trying to negotiate a peace deal now for most of his secretaryship, and it hasn't worked. 11
trips to the region, and that's preceding this latest intervention. Of course, it has to be said, he's not the first to face this exact kind of dilemma. Rula, I'll go to you on this one. Back in 2000, this immediately leapt to mind. Bob Gates talked about this exact issue. He said, quote, every president I worked for at some point in his presidency would get so pissed off at the Israelis that he couldn't speak. It didn't matter whether it was Jimmy Carter or Jerry Ford or Ronald Reagan or George Bush. Something would happen and they would just absolutely go screw themselves right into the ceiling. They were so angry and they'd sort of rant and rave around the Oval Office. I think it was their frustration about knowing that there was so little they could do about it because of domestic politics. Rula, if that's the case, why can't American leaders be more honest?
Well, because of AIPAC and because of the money behind it and because of Sheldon Adelson and because of all of us in the media. We're ridiculous. We are disgustingly biased when it comes to this issue. Look at how many airtime Netanyahu and his folks have on air on a daily basis. Andrea Mitchell and others. I never seen one Palestinian being interviewed on these same issues.
Well, I'll push on back on that a little. We've had Palestinian
maybe for
voices
30 seconds, and then you have 25 minutes for Bibi Netanyahu and half an hour for Naftali Bennett and many others. Listen, the Ayman Muhyiddin story. Let's talk about this. We are home and we can discuss this. Ayman Muhyiddin is covering the Palestinian sides, and we get upset. It's too pro-Palestinian. We don't like it. We push him back, and thanks for social media that brought him in. Let's talk about these
issues. Point taken, but doesn't it reveal equally our thinking that we now have Ayman Muhyiddin on air, and I think there's been very fair and balanced
thanks to social media, and thanks for the pushback from the public opinion. And I'm not saying that everybody's like this, but it's 1/10 is giving to the Palestinian voice and 99% to the Israeli voice, and that's why the public opinion is pro-Israeli, which is the opposite in the rest of the world.
And Eli, do you think that's the case? Do you think American media is skewed in favor of Israeli coverage?
I mean, I'm kind of baffled, honestly, by what Rula was just saying there. Israel has experienced terrible press when you have these pictures of dead Gazans and you see these casualties. I think the media has been covering that for what it is, which is a terrible human tragedy. And the response from often Israeli officials in U.S. and in Western media in general has often been very defensive. And, the notion that, AIPAC is a very powerful lobby on Capitol Hill, I think that Israel has a lot of support because there's a kind of cultural affinity between Americans and Israelis, and they see them as less foreign in a lot of ways than they do with Palestinians. But that's a much deeper question. I don't think it can be explained by lobbyists or the political process, and I would say that the anti-Israel side has been extremely...
Eli, let's be honest. It's the only point of view that's been expressed.
It's not the only point of view. You're expressing a point of view right now on television.
Let's be honest.
But it is a challenge. Look, it's certainly a huge megaphone on the other side of this, and I see the frustration. Rula, if it is the case that there's this skewed coverage, at what point do you think Israel in this conflict loses that support? What's the red line?
Unfortunately,
do you think it's a turning point?
Listen, look at every conflict. What is our strategy, Israel's strategy and American strategy in Gaza? To topple Hamas? No. It's not to topple Hamas, but to keep the siege, political siege on Hamas. And in that economic and political siege, who is winning? Is Hamas today, and will be winning because What will happen is what will happen in 2012 and 2006 until something horrific happens in front of a camera that the world opinion will stand up and said, okay, stop, and it will be when the music will end. But we will be cyclical violence because the answer to this conflict is a political answer.
If there's one thing that can't be argued, it's that we've been here over and over again, and that is a devastating fact for all of us. Eli, Rula,
because of the failure of politics.
Well, it's failure of politics, it's a failure of media, it's a failure on the ground. I think it's a failure